Ooh, we're going live. Howdy, everybody. We are live here at the Portal Home Studio. I am the Brant. Thanks so much for joining me on what is a snowy Friday. Woo, it's Friday. All right. Um, Welcome, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Probably many people will be watching this back later. So yeah, so what I want to do is I want to play an older card game now, the Lord of the Rings LCG. This is one that I really like, and I would say that now Marvel Champions has usurped it. But I have a few cards for this game, as you'll see in this box here that I have with all these cards that are somewhat sitting in my attic, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get that game back out. So I have gotten it back out, and I found a couple decks that I had built already. And I don't remember strategies and all those kind of things that I were doing for this game, but I thought, let me do like a primer. Let me teach people how to play this game and see if it was something that was interesting because it's actually still in print. I think it came out in 2011. Let's see if I've got a copyright on these cards. 2010. So it's 11 years old, but it's still in print. I thought that it was going to run out, but they're still making sets. I probably have everything maybe up to the last 3 or 4 cycles. There's a lot. There's saga expansions. You can actually play through the entire Hobbit and Lord of the Rings stories. They did a really good job with that. The campaign is interesting. You add a lot of cards and you pass around Bilbo or Frodo, who are the ring bearers. Yeah, and Lord of the Rings is a very popular intellectual property, so I wanted to do that. So one quick note is I did try to set up this other camera so I could show cards on it, and for whatever reason, OBS is not happy about that. So I'm going to try to switch back and forth to this camera because my camera here only focuses if I put the autofocus on, but then I get that thing. So I'll try to show off some cards here, and I'll try to read text in terms of all that. All right. So let me go down to the table, show you those things, and like I said, I'll come back here. I guess I could also put it in that upper corner, but I think it'll help people if I do the other way. So I'll do my best to go back and forth and kind of play through the first mission of this with a deck that I already had pre-built. So here we go down to the table. This is kind of what the game looks like. I'm going to set things up here. So I'm doing this first quest called Flies and Spiders. So if I look on the quest, it's going to give me 3 little symbols. See, already I've got to go back here. Well, you know what? I'll do that in a second when I show off a bunch of the cards. So I got the quest. I've got the decks that I need, kind of the encounter sets, I think is what they're called. I've got my 3 heroes. You can pick any number of heroes. I did forget my shadow counter. So I got that here. So I've got that in front of me. The 3 heroes I'm playing with are Glorfindel, Aragorn, and Eowyn. So those are the 3 that I have. And then there's really only 3 types of cards in this game. There's a fourth, they made a side quest type that you can actually put in your deck and try to complete quests to get you bonuses. But that was later on. So initially there's just allies, attachments, and events. So it's actually pretty simple. You construct a 50 card deck. So you can build that. I believe it's 3 copies of any one card, 50 card deck. And you put this encounter set together, and then I'll show you how to play. It's very story driven while also being very mechanical. The steps are somewhat complex. It plays a little slower than some of the others, so I'll kind of run through all these phases. So I'm kind of read through. There's the resource phase, planning phase, quest phase, travel phase, encounter phase, combat phase, refresh phase. So you really have to go kind of slow to make sure that you do everything, but it's all laid out there in the book. And I will do that, and we'll try to play through this first one for you. So don't do this as often, but hello. So first, if we look at a hero, let's look at Aragorn, I suppose. So if we look at Aragorn, whoops, so he's got a couple stats on him. His health is down here. His health is down here. And I really got to get this in front of the camera. There we go. He's got 5 health. And then we've got his quest value, his attack, and his defense. This might have a different term, but I always think of it for questing. And then up here is his shadow cost. This is how much shadow I have to play with the start of the game. If I get to 50 shadow, I lose. So the higher this number, that's what I'm going to start with, and that's going to affect enemies coming after me. He's got his keywords. He's a sentinel, meaning he can block for other players. So again, it's a multiplayer cooperative game. In this one, that doesn't really help me be able to do that. And then he's got his response effect. He's also a leadership ally, so that's what he has right here. And I have these two are Spirit, Glorfindel and Eowyn. So that means that's the type of resource they're going to generate, as well as what I can spend for resources. Because in order to play a card, well, for example, Gimli here, I have to spend 4 leadership resources. I'm really sorry about that. And you can see almost the same things, except he has a cost up here. So his cost is 4. I have to spend 4 leadership resources, so 4 off of Aragorn in order to be able to play Gimli, and then he can come out and be on my board permanently. So allies will stay in play permanently till they die if they receive that much damage. Then I've got attachments here that have a cost in the upper corner. Attachments are really easily identified by the black box, and it'll tell you how to attach. And I've got the unique symbol here, and then what you can do. These stay in play. And then I've got an event like this one, which is free. I can play anytime, and I just do that, and it goes to my discard pile. So on the first encounter card, you'll see here, you probably hear me relating a lot of things to Marvel Champions, since that's what I'm playing so much of on the channel. But you've got your different levels, and you have to get all the way through the quest. And this one, when you get to quest 3, this is the very first quest in the core set, Flies and Spiders. When you get to the third one, it'll actually have you pick one of the 2 at random, so it sends you in a different direction. So right here, it's going to show me the encounter sets I need. So I've got the Old Forest encounter set. I've got the Evil Aloft. I don't know what this one's called. And I think they named them eventually. And then this is the spiders. I actually have the original print run here, the first edition, and so these are not labeled, but I actually have a set of the newer edition as well. And you'll see they added in numbers, so you knew how many were in that set when you sort them. You can see if you have them all, so they did a better job as they went on and realized that a lot of things you'll see in some of the later ones. So it's a cooperative LCG. If you buy this, the core set box is okay. But back in the day, it was pretty notorious that for FFG you had to buy multiple of these boxes. You get by with 2 core sets and probably be fine. The third would give you 3 copies of any card, because then you'd have 3 copies, so anything they gave you a singleton of. But I would say 2 is better than 1 for sure in terms of picking up the game and starting again. You could press forward, but there's some pretty good cards in the original box as far as I remember. And I don't know, because there's so many cards now. You could see my box could be doubled in terms of holding that. And then each pack they released had more cards for the player plus another scenario, and they did it in cycles. So the original box had 3, and then you play through those. And then there was the Quest Mirkwood cycle and different cycles, and each one started with a big box and then a whole other cycle, except the Mirkwood one. That was the one where they didn't quite do that as much. So then you had Bridge of Khazad-dûm, and then 6 to go with that, which gave you 9 total quests, I believe. Or maybe there was 3 in the box and you bought the 3 other. Hard for me to remember exactly how they do it, but that's the idea. So you probably, if you play this just out of the core set, you probably will find it a little lacking. I remember that the Tactics one, the red, which is kind of the attack, was a really tough deck in terms of that. And they give you monocolor decks. I happen to have a dual color with purple and blue, which will play fine. You can even play 3 colors. They have lots of things to make that work out fine. And yeah, you can have anywhere from 1 to 3 heroes in the game, and heroes are different from allies, so that's going to be important to recognize. So, all right, so I'm going to take this deck, shuffle it up almost. I have to read my starter here. So it says Flies and Spiders. This is Passage Through Mirkwood. So I guess this did start the Mirkwood cycle. All right, you're traveling through Mirkwood Forest carrying an urgent message from King Thranduil to the Lady Galadriel of Lorien. As you move along the dark trail, the spiders gather around you. Search the encounter deck for 1 copy of Forest Spider and 1 copy of the Old Forest Road. Add them to the staging area, then shuffle the encounter deck. Gonna search my deck for the Old Forest Road. Do, 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 do. Kathy, am I even close on that? All right, where is the Forest Spider? Come on. Forest Spider. All right. So we'll add these 2 to our staging area here. Flip this around. So the big thing we're looking at is their threat cost up here. So this one is a threat cost of 1. This is a threat cost of 2. which is this symbol here. I'm not going to go back up just for that piece. And then they've got this encounter number, which is if my threat is at or equal or above, then that means they're going to attack me. Otherwise, I'm not a big threat. So hobbits notoriously start with low threat there. All right, so I'm going to shuffle the encounter deck, and then it says the nastiest things they saw were the cobwebs, dark, dense cobwebs with threads extraordinarily thick, often stretched from tree to tree or tangled in the lower branches on either side of them. There were none stretched across the path, but whether because some magic kept it clear or for what other reason they could not guess. So that's going to be that there. So I've got my quest. So the number right here is 8. So that means I need to adventure or get 8 questing tokens on that. Now they give you these little tokens here, and there were various other ones. I actually don't have a lot of stuff from like play kits and whatnot. These tokens, but I've also got green dice for that because I'm going to get to 8. So obviously, going to want another way to do that. And I know a lot of people use the dice trick, so I'll use those dice for some of those numbers as they get higher. In terms of that, I've also got these wound counters, and I've got resource counters. So I'm shuffling the deck here. Then I will shuffle my own deck, and I will draw 5 cards to start the game. I don't remember if it's 5 or 6, and I've been playing this the last several days too. 6 cards. Okay. You can mulligan by shuffling everything back in and redrawing. I'm probably just gonna deal with what I got. This is my deck, or their deck, the shadow deck. All right, so I'll shuffle these cards in. So I got my 3 heroes here. So I'm going to add up their cost for my starting shadow. And again, if my shadow gets to 50, I lose the game. So I've got 12 plus 9 plus 5. So that's going to give me 12 plus 14 is 26. I've got 26 on my shadow dial here. Oop, you can't see it there. So I will put it here. Awesome. Yeah, this camera, so you can see it has autofocus. I can get it to focus better, but it leaves that little box up. I can get rid of the thing where it says autofocus, but it leaves that box. So I have not figured out a way to get rid of that yet. We actually switched cameras at the store because of that. So I can do manual and then do this, but you don't get the best. I can't hold the cards up there and get them to zoom in. So if I need to do that every so often for a card, I may put that little box up, but something I still haven't figured out how to get rid of, so I moved on. All right, so I'm just going to keep my deck over here. I'm going to draw 6 cards. I've got Linder, Ancient Mathen, the Galadriel's Greeting. I'm going to struggle with some of these names. Dwarven Tomb, Hasty Stroke, and A Very Good Tale. All right, so these are the cards I have. I'm going to stick with those. So first thing you do on a turn, add a resource to each hero's pool, so the resources are specific to them, and draw a card. So I'm going to draw a card, and I get Celebrian Stone. All right, so let's see. So now I can spend these resources. Now, this one costs 2 purple because it's leadership, and I only have 1, so I can't do that currently. The only things I have, hold on, does this add to the staging area? Yes, okay. All right, so what I will do is I will put this one on here, this Ancient Mathem. So I'm going to attach this, so I'll just read it. Attach to a location. After attached location explore, the first player draws 3 cards. So I'm going to attach that one there. That's going to cost me 1 blue, so I'm going to take 1 blue off of here. I don't believe I'm going to play any other of these cards because I can't. So then that is the resource phase, and the planning phase is when I play any of my cards. So I have to play allies, attach attachments. Events can happen in windows. The rulebook actually does a really good job of spelling out. You see all these windows, player actions are in green. Red has to happen before you can move on. So that is very useful when you're going back to the game. It's a little much once you're in the middle of playing after several times, but it's good for knowing when the windows are. So everybody go around and play their cards, and then we do the quest phase. So in questing, you're going to use this quest number, which they're 2, 4, and 3, and you commit them to the quest by exhausting. So that's one of the things to know is When you use a hero, you're either going to quest with them, or you're going to attack with them, or you're going to defend. They can only do one thing. That's kind of similar to Marvel Champions, so you can see where they carry some of those things over. But it really plays into that whole Lord of the Rings, like defend, move on, quest, keep progressing. There's a lot of exploration in this game. So we're trying to get to this target number 8 in order to be able to progress the quest, but we also have this one to fight here. So I'm going to commit. How many am I going to commit here? Um, just going to commit the two of them. So Eowyn and Aragorn. Now, Aragorn has a response that says when he commits to a quest, ready him by spending a resource from his pool. So I've got 2, 6. Now, here I've got 3, so I know I'm not going to be able to get to 8. Then, once I commit to the quest, I draw a card and counter card per player off the deck. So, this is going to be the Great Forest Web. And this has a 2, so I add this to the staging area. So 2, 4, 5. I was a 6. Eowyn says I can take an action and increase hers by 1, and it can be done by each player. So I can, sorry, excuse me, discard a card. So I will discard this very good tail and increase by 1. So now I'm 5 plus 2 is 7, minus 5 gives me 2 progress on the quest. That's the idea there. Okay. All right, try to make this a little bit more in your view. There we go. Okay. All right. So there's that. I'm actually just going to take this. Well, I guess I can leave it here for now. So there's that. So now the next thing that happens is the travel phase. So I can pick one of these locations and I can travel to it. They have an effect. This one is a response after I travel here. I can ready. Oh, I forgot about that. And this one is each player has to exhaust a hero in order to travel here. So the reason you're traveling is to get them out and get their shadow effects out. But the negative is they can kind of increase your quest value. So I'm going to travel to the Old Forest Road on a trek. Okay, I won't do it. And I will travel to that one, and it says after you travel, first player may choose and ready one character he controls. So I will ready Eowyn. All right, so now the next thing we do is the engagement phase, or encounter phase, excuse me. So I can choose to encounter any of these. So no matter what their shadow number is here, I can encounter them, and there could be benefits. Hobbits tend to want to do that because they get bonuses against things they wouldn't have to attack otherwise. It's kind of like a sneak attack. But this one's going to come and attack me anyway. So let's just say I don't choose to fight it. So then I would check. So my shadow value is 26. This one's 25, so it's lower than mine or equal. So it will engage me. So this one's going to come in front of me here. Just going to move this off to the side. This is the current location. This is a location we can go to. So this enemy's now going to attack me. So then we move to the combat phase. So enemies attack first. So this one's going to attack for 2. I can choose a defender. So I will choose Eowyn to defend. So I exhaust her to defend. So she has 1 shield. This person is a 2. So then each one gets a shadow card. I think those actually get dealt first. And I flip it, and this one has no effect. So some cards have a shadow effect. You'll see this line here. I can bring that a little bit closer. It won't zoom. But you'll see this line with the skull, and it has a shadow effect. So often they don't have a shadow effect, so nothing happens. So he deals 2 minus 1, puts 1 damage on her, and away we go. So now I can swing, and I can combine my swing. So I'm going to have Glorfindel for 3 plus Aragorn for 3 is 6. I don't draw any cards. I could play anything I want. He's got 1 defense, so he takes 5 damage, and this spider is dead. And that would be the end of the combat phase now that everybody's gone. Okay? So then I'm going to refresh all my cards for the refresh phase. So it's like the 7th phase of the round. And then I raise my threat by 1. So you might have been saying, oh, how are you going to get to 50? Well, every turn it increases by 1, and there's other ways. In fact, if I had quested with Glorfindel, which I realized I should have done, so I would have been able to ready him. But if I quest with him, then he increases my threat by 1 because he's a very low threat. He's 5 threat cost. And then I would pass the first player token, which is this fancy looking thing, to the next player, and they would be the first player. In those sagas, the first player's interesting because you actually pass Bilbo and Frodo around the table. They're like a fourth hero that people get, and some other things that happen. But that would be it. We'd start back at the top. So we go back 7 phases again. Resource phase, get resources, draw a card. Planning phase, play your cards. Quest phase, commit to the quest, and then draw the encounter cards, one per player. Travel phase, pick if you want to go to a location. Encounter phase, engage enemies. Combat phase, enemies fight, you fight. And then refresh phase. So that's all the phases that are in the game, and as you get used to it, it gets easier and easier to play in terms of all that. All right, so we are back to the top. So we will add a resource to each of these and draw a card. Yeah, I know this is a kind of an older game, but it's one that I thought, well, maybe people want to get back into this, especially I know a lot of people watch Marvel Champions on our channel, and I thought maybe this is something that they'd be interested in. Well, again, a lot more focus here on exploration, so there's some story. Arkham Horror really goes to the like max with the story, so I know there's kind of like the story versus mechanics in Marvel Champions, which I tend to like, but I like this theme a lot, and this game is very, very elegant. But it's a lot kind of to learn. It's trickier than Marvel Champions. All right, so now we need to play something else here. I could lower my threat. This one, I could play Linder. Lets me draw more cards, or just this Outlands Scout could be good. Let's play the Outlands Scout, because at this point we really want to do that. So I'm going to spend 2 resources. They have to be blue. So that's one part that's tricky. You have to spend that color of those. I can drag these back just a little bit. I can see on the camera. Perfect. All right. So now that's all I'm going to play. And then I'm going to play, or now I'm going to do the quest phase. So I will quest with everybody, I think, except Aragorn this time. I'm going to try to save that resource so I can play this stone. So this one says each Outlands character you control gets +1 to their questing. So that's a 2 +3. I have to increase my threat by 1 in order to play him or commit him. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. None of these are Outlands. So I'm again going for that 8. There's only a 2 here. So far that would be 7. And then I'm going to add a forest gate. So there's more there. So I forgot my number already. I was 9. Each of these are 2s. So that's going to be -4. I'm not reading these because these are mostly response and travel effects to traveling. So they don't apply right now, just so people know. So 9 minus 4 gives me 5, so I'm going to add 5 tokens. So here's the trick, though. 3 go on this Old Forest Road. This is a 3 down here. So first I have to commit tokens here. I don't have to pull from here, but I commit. So I've got 5 tokens. So 3 go here, and then 2 go on the quest. So that will complete this one. When this one's completed, it's discarded. Sometimes they have a when completed effect, but this one doesn't. But this one does. After a location is explored, the first player draws 3 cards. So I get to draw 3 cards. I draw a Dwarven Tomb, a Test of Will, and an Escort from Edoras. So those are the cards that I have in my hand. I can't remember if there is a hand maximum in this game. Just give me 1 second. Other things that I'm noting as I'm looking through here is there's actually ways to play the game on an easier and a harder level. Again, I think they did that in the newer mode where they gave cards like a gold ring, and if you remove the card with the gold ring, then you'd be playing on easier mode. They also made these nightmare ones, which make it much, much harder for very hard scenarios. So different things like that that they did, but you can change the modes and play different ways, which is something I find people really appreciate. I know I appreciate it on video games because I just don't have the chops, but I want to get through the game sometimes for the story and whatnot. All right, I don't see a hand limit there. And you don't draw cards when you left. Nope, so I think there's no hand limit, so I think I'm good on that. All right, so we are now at 4 tokens here towards that. So now we have the travel phase. So I could discard a card, which I guess is somewhat reasonable. So I will. I'll discard one to add one to hers, which would be a fifth token here. I need to get to 8 there. So now we can travel. After you travel the Forest Gate, the first player may draw 2 cards. So I could do that, or I have to exhaust a hero to travel here. I'm going to do that one because I don't need more cards, and I have a hero that I can exhaust. So I will go there. Then it would be encounter phase and combat phase. There's no combat, so we would ready. Got to remember to increase my shadow by 1 or threat level by 1, and then go back to the top. So I draw a card. Drew Saruman. That is of note. There are neutral cards. So one thing to note with this ally's not a hero. They don't generate resources. Only heroes generate resources. You can tell heroes because they have the shadow cost at the top. In terms of that, they also say hero on the bottom. So allies can attack and defend and everything like them, but they don't quite do as much. Also, Saruman is a neutral card. So in the story, this would be Saruman when he was Saruman the White and not in league with Sauron. So the story or the game covers multiple elements of the game, not just the Third Age and the story of the Lord of the Rings. So, but most of these Istari characters come into play and then leave at the end of the round, which, again, Marvel Champions, Nick Fury was inspired by Gandalf and Sauron and the characters like that do that. So, very powerful effects, but just happen once. And you can play for neutral cards with any resources. All right, so I'm going to put this Celebrian, I apologize. I know that's one of the elves, I believe, but I don't know the pronunciation. Um, if it would be Celebrian or Celebrian. So I'm going to attach this. It's cost 2 from the spirit pool, and this gives Aragorn +2 to his questing, and he also gains the spirit icon. So now he counts as a spirit ally, so I can use his pool to pay for those cards. So that's the idea there. And then I will do this escort or lower my threat. I might just lower my threat for things that come out, huh? That makes more sense. I'm gonna put this one out. So I'm gonna put out Linder. He says if you have less than 3 cards, draw till you have that. I don't, but I'm still gonna put Linder out over here, so I have more people to block and attack and quest with and whatnot. So here's where I want to think about it. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 2 here, so 7 totals. What I'm looking at, plus whatever I'm gonna draw. So that's what I want to think about. So pretty much AoN every time. I gave him +4, but he is a good attacker. He increases my threat, so I may not hear. So this would give me 8 with the ability to pump it up 1 to 9. Is probably a pretty good draw. 2, 3, 4, 8. I think makes sense, and I'm going to save these 2. Although I could block with Linder if I needed to. So I think that might be better. So I will use Aragorn. He's a 4 because he's +2 from this. So 4, 8, 9, 10. Draw an encounter card. It's going to be a spider. So it's going to be 10 minus 4 is 6. So 2 will go here. This will be cleared. And 4 will go here, which will clear this. So then that will check. It'll say, yep, it's over after I quest. So I move on to the next quest. And we'll deal with that spider in a second. So yeah, let me know down below. Like, is this something that you've been interested in? You haven't seen? Is this something you used to play? You don't play anymore? Because I dug it out and it's awesome. It's very different from Champions, I think, in terms of questing, and the decks are much more delicate in terms of what you're going to do. You don't get through your deck the same way. So I've been enjoying that. I know a lot of people like Arkham Horror as well, the LCG. Okay, a fork in the road. As you move through Mirkwood, hounded by spiders, the forest path forks before you. So then I flip over to the other side, and it says, unsure of what lies ahead, but spurred by the urgency of your message, you choose a path and proceed. When you defeat this stage, proceed to one of the 2 chosen path stages at random. So we'll go to one. So this one just has a 2 on it, so it's just a quick one. So that's done. Now I have my travel phase. So I will go here. I will travel. That's going to require me to add 4 to it, but it gets a 2 out of there. And when I travel here, I get to draw 2 cards. Those are good cards. Okay. And then I'm going to have the encounter phase. So I won't choose to encounter him. Sometimes there's things that say when you engage, you get a bonus. So this one's going to come to me either way. in terms of that. And then I will block with Linder, just like I said I would. So he would get his shadow card on him. I will block, that's 2. He deals 2 damage plus. Uh-oh, this is not going to be good. Deal 1 damage to each character the defending player controls. 2 damage if this attack was undefended. So this is Hummerhorns, the giant bee. So yeah, if it's undefended, then damage gets assigned to your heroes directly, goes through the armor. This one's going to deal 1 damage to each character I control. Ouch. All right. So 1 to Linder, 1 here. Eowyn's almost dead. And that will kill my Outlands, my Ether Swordsman. But I block the 2, and now I can fight back. I just have Glorfindel. He's a 3, -1, deals 2 damage, and this enemy will just stay in front of me and bug me again the next turn. So, where you would account for things like archery, you can attack into other people's, and sometimes archery will let you like deal damage ahead of time in terms of all that. So, it can work well there. Or you have like event cards. But the bonus of the enemy being out here is it doesn't decrease my shadow for questing. So that's what's nice in terms of being engaged in front of me. All right, so I ready everything up, increase my threat. I am now at 30 of 50, so I'm in good shape there, but bigger enemies come out. And then I will draw a card, which is Galadriel, and I will add 1 to each of these. Woo! So Galadriel lets me put an attachment into play, but I don't have the resources because I need to be leadership. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this Light of Valinor on Glorfindel. That allows him to commit to the quest without exhausting, and he only raises my threat if he commits while exhausting. So that will let me quest with him and attack with him, so that will be good. I'm going to try to use Lindor, I guess, to block there, or I can spend the one from, what's his name? So, oh, darn it. Yeah, I should have used this. I missed it, but that's okay. So I have this hasty stroke. Cancel a shadow effect just triggered during combat. Honestly, I really should cancel that one. Did I have a resource though? Maybe I didn't have any resources. So let's assume I didn't. So I'll have that one ready, and I can also cancel a when revealed effect of a card. So I need to remember that I have those. Tricky part about playing here on stream. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to commit Aragorn to the quest. That's 4. I'm going to commit Eowyn. That's 4. And Glorfindel. That's 3. So that's going to be 11 committed. I'm going to save him to block, and I'm going to try to finish him off with one of these 2. So 11. Remind me of that number. All right, 11, and I'm going to draw this Dol Guldur Beastmaster. So he's got a 2 threat value, but he's 35 up here for Shadow, and I'm only at 30, so he's going to ignore me. He doesn't consider me enough of a threat yet, which is a really cool mechanism in the game, is that you see what could come if you don't move fast enough, and I really like that element. So -2 for my 11 is 9, so 4 go here, and 5 go here, so that's going to complete Fork in the Road. And then I'm going to go to one of these at random. Kathy, left or right? Kathy says right. At the fork in the road. All right, chosen path. The trail winds into one of the darkest, most tangled parts of the forest. You sense that a foul, dark presence is hunting you, and you move quickly in an attempt to avoid its evil. Bjorn's path. So I need 10 in order to quest to get to Bjorn. You attempt to follow a secret hidden trail to avoid the enemy. So I can't defeat this stage while Ungoliant spawn is in play. So if that card comes up, then I have to defeat it. If players defeat this stage, they have won the game. So I'm just trying to quest 10. So this one gives me a lot of quest. I won't spoil the other one, but I believe it's more about fighting. We'll leave it at that. All right, so that's completed. Then it would be encounter. So I don't have to encounter this one. He'll ignore me, so I'm going to leave him up there, even though he'll block my questing. If I thought I could fight him, he's got 5 health and 1 defense and attacks for 3. I don't want to mess with that. So then we're going to deal a shadow card to each of the enemies. Yeah, that's actually the first thing I'm supposed to do. Just so you know, there are ways to discard shadow cards, so that would be a bad idea. So then I will block with Linder over here, flip the effect. So this one has no effect. So he will attack for 2. I block 2, and then I will attack with Aragorn, and that will finish him off because he's got 1 defense. He's dead. He's out of there. So then the refresh phase, we ready everything. We increase. We're at 31, so we still don't have to deal with this guy, so we can if we want to. There are some cards like Tactics has cards that say Feint, which an enemy just can't attack you this turn. You ignore their attack, and then boom, you can hit them with everybody to try to be able to do that. So there's things like that. Everybody gets a resource, and we draw a card. And I drew another Light of Valinor. So that one is, I can't use that, but I can discard it with Eowyn to trigger her effect. So that's a nice piece of that. All right, so we could lower our threat. I think we really just want to quest through this. So I'm going to play this Escort from Edoras right here. That will cost me 2 Spirit. And then I'm just going to save my resource. I'll be able to stand up with him if I quest. And I'll be able to either play Hasty Stroke or Test of Will to cancel a really nasty card if it comes out. And I'm going to exhaust everybody and just try to get this done. Because even with this enemy in play, I could do that. I'll pay the 1 resource to keep him standing up, and he doesn't have to. And I'm just going to go ahead and discard that Light of Valinor to increase hers by 1. Okay. Yell into the void. All right. You know what? I'm just going to put that here so I remember that I triggered that. All right. So we're going to draw, and it's going to be another one of these forest spiders. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this Escort of Edoras is when committed to a quest, it gets +2. So this one's actually a 4. But after we resolve the quest, okay, so I think after we complete a quest, then we discard this one. So it just helps you to get to the next stage, is all that will do. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus 5 is 14. Plus 4 is 18. Minus 4 is 14. And that will complete Bjorn's path. So these enemies go away. I get safely to the house of Bjorn. And we are successful in our attempt to win. So there you go. That's kind of a primer for how the game works, and then the story works its way through. As they went on, they did a lot better of like getting the cycles all together and kind of having those cards. I forgot that you do use these sets, and then you would take those encounter sets to shuffle them in terms of that. And you can see kind of here's this one. Although I realized that early on, I think the Conflict of Carrick and a couple others were out of print, and I guess I never actually got it. We didn't have it in the store and it was out of print. And now I see that they're back there. I can purchase them on Amazon or whatever. We'll have to see. So I'm missing one of them, but got a bunch of different quests here. So, but they range and the story changes. And as they went on, they got a lot better with that and added mechanisms and other things to make it interesting. But that's kind of the idea of what they're doing, what's happening. I'm going to try here one of these quests that I was doing, which seemed to revolve a lot around healing, and I didn't make an amazing deck, but I'm going to try to play a little quicker here. I tried to make an all single color deck, so I made a green deck with dwarves, Ori, Bomber, and Biffer, but I think that the dwarf deck seems to want multiple colors. But we'll see how this goes and try to do this. So this one is going to be the Wounded Eagle. And we'll see if I can play through this one here, because I feel like playing again. All right, so I'm going to shuffle up these cards that it shows me for the encounter set here. Oops, got onto the table. Uh, well, I'm here. So it tells me to put these 2 in play, Roscabel and, oops, Williador. So I'm going to try to heal this eagle that's wounded and get to Roscabel, which is Radagast, if you know anything about those stories. I am not well versed in my Tolkien lore, but, you know, some things I know. Where that is. So yeah, this is going to be my deck here. So this one's going to start with 23 threat. And Ori says if you control at least 5 dwarf characters, draw an additional card. Biffer says you can spend a resource from another hero to add one to his pool, which isn't really actually that helpful in single color, but these are the dwarf allies I had in green. Green is lore. And then Bomber is when counting number of dwarves, he counts as 2. So I have 4 dwarves right now. So if I can just get 1 dwarf out, then I'll be able to draw additional cards. That's kind of the idea of what I'm doing there. Move this so it's not in the background. Get this shuffled up. We'll read this quest to you while we shuffle my deck. The Wounded Eagle. Yeah, this is one I had trouble with, and we'll see. I'm not sure I have enough questing power in this deck, but after a fierce conflict with a group of trolls, you come across a fallen eagle, grievously wounded and on the verge of death. Search the encounter deck for Roscabel and Williador, and add them to the staging area with 2 damage tokens on Williador. Then shuffle the encounter deck. So we'll do that, flip this over, and it's an 8 quest threat. The eagle's wounds cannot be tended in the wilderness, so you attempt to bring the creature to Roscabel, where the wisdom of Radagast the Brown may be its only hope. So I've got to get there. So Roscabel says it has X threat, where it's the number of players in the game, so that's how they go about kind of scaling. While Roscabel's in the staging area, Will Yador cannot be healed, so I can't heal him, and players must complete stage 1 of the quest before they can travel here. And then they've got these little victory points. So they had tried to add these victory things where you could get victory points to increase your score. And then they started having cards trigger off of things being in the victory display. So I think that's something that they're adding to Marvel Champions in Galaxy's Most Wanted. So we'll see how that works out there as well. I don't know if it's so much for people to be able to say, oh, this is, something that I wanted, in terms of points, as much as just to trigger other abilities, things that say, oh, if this is in the victory display, you can do something. So kind of the idea there. All right, shuffle up, draw 6 cards. We've got the Evening Star, Legacy of Durin, Noiseless Movement, Longbeard Mapmaker, Self-Preservation, and Dory. So we have 2 dwarves. That'll probably be our first starting place. I could wait 1 turn. So, Williador says, no attachments. First player gains control of him as an ally. So he's a 1/1/1 with 20 health. I'm actually going to use a die for his health, because he's going to take 2 damage at the end of every round. And if he dies, we lose, and we have to heal him up. So, kind of what's happening here. All right, so first things first, we'll keep this hand. We'll draw another card. It is a Lure of Imoldaris. And I can heal all damage from a character. But if I heal him, I can only heal 5 wounds. So, yeah. One thing that's kind of different in this game, I guess. I mean, I think it's there in Marvel Champions, but you really have to build to whatever that quest is. So this one's all about healing. So I need to put healing in my deck to be able to heal. It's not really as possible without. I can find these Ethelos as I go through to be able to heal. But see that. All right, so this only has a 1 for threat, so I will commit these 2. Oh, am I going to play any cards? Yeah, I should play another dwarf, although this one lets me draw cards every time I play a dwarf. But I just get to draw another card if I play it. So, do I want Dory out, or do I want this one for questing? I think I want Dory out. So I will pay 3, that's all my resources. Add Dory, and then we will quest. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6 for questing, -1, and I will draw, deal 1 damage to each character without any attachments. Ooh. Dang. Okay. Harsh. All right, so then it's 6 -1, so I will add 5 to this quest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no enemies to fight, so that's kind of nice. We can ready up everybody here. He's going to take 2 more and go to 5 damage. Increase my threat by 1, so I'm at 24. And I will draw a card and add resources at the start of the next round. You don't really have to track number of rounds. That comes in a little bit later in the game. So I will add one to Ori for health. Actually, draw two cards because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dwarves are what I have. Oh, and I forgot I could travel. Oh, I can't travel here until I complete that, so I did know that. Perfect. All right, so let me play this Legacy of Durin. I'm going to play this on Bomber. So every time I play a dwarf, I get to draw a card. And then I will use these two to play Gleowine. And I can take an action to draw a card with that one as well. All right, there we go. That's what we got. So we will commit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is going to be enough. 3, 6. Draw this. Deal 2 damage to each exhausted character. Oh my goodness. All right. So that's going to be 7. This one's exhausted, so he's dead. He's exhausted, so he's dead, and he's dead. Wow. This is brutal. I guess I just have to know not to quest so hard. So that didn't go well. Guess my deck just fell apart. Guess I'll need to read a little bit more into that. So I'm questing now for 1. Oh, look at that. I did not lose Ori because he had +1 health, so he's got 3 damage. So that will give me 2, 3 that I quest for, so that will complete this quest. So now it says Radagast request. The eagle's health has grown worse, but you have at last arrived at Roscabel, where Radagast examines the bird. He then asks you to head out into the wilderness to find the healing plant Ethelos. Meanwhile, meantime, any healing lore or supplies your party has at its disposal can be used to assist in comforting the eagle until you return. So, response after the quest phase begins, I can place X damage tokens on Williadar to look at the top 3 cards in the encounter deck, reveal and add one of those cards to the staging area, and discard the other 2. X is the number of players in the game, so I'm going to go search for those. After a card effect heals him, remove that card from the game. So then I'll have my travel phase, and I will go here to Roscabel. So now he can be healed again. And I will use Gleowine to draw a card and get a Forest Snare. And then he's going to take 2 more damage and go to 9. It's fading fast. All right, now I only have 3 dwarves in play, so I just draw 1 card. And increase my threat. Put that in the wrong order, but and now I've got these 2 resources. So I lost a whole resource by losing my hero, which is going to be tricky. But I will play this one, heal all damage from a character, but I can only heal 5, and then I remove this card from play. So this card is gone. So I heal 5. He's down to 4 damage there. These are gone, and then I have to quest for 12. That hurt me a lot last time. 1. Got a quest for the 4 here. So yeah, I'm gonna quest for 4. Draw, and I draw Hummerhorn. So he is a 40, so I at least can ignore him. He's really nasty, but he doesn't care about me. So he's only a 1, so I quested for 4, so that's 3. So 3 tokens go here on Roscabel. And that will be that, because that's not going to engage me. So I go to 26, and I ready. Take 2 damage here. He's at 6. Oh, I forgot to trigger that. That's all right, I'll do it this time. Draw a card, gain resources. Only 2 at a time now. Okay, so I can place on something that's not the most important thing right now. I forget what this secrecy 2 is. I thought it was something to do with if you're 2 less or something. I don't know what that is. I think if you're below a certain number, you can decrease the cost of this. All right, so I can look at the top card in the encounter deck and reduce my threat by X, where X is the threat of that card. That is an option I have. I also have exhaust a hero you control to shuffle the encounter deck, reveal its top card, place progress token in the current quest equal to the revealed card, then put that card back on top of the encounter deck. All right, so let's do that one. So that one's going to let me shuffle the deck, draw a card, and reveal it, so I'll know what I'm going to deal with. So I'm going to be dealing with, this enemy. It's got 3 attack. The first player chooses one character currently committed to a quest, deal 2 damage to that character. So I'm going to end up having 3 up here when I commit. And I have to deal 2 damage to somebody committed to the quest. Wow. Alright, well, one. Oh, how am I going to defeat him? I don't know. Alright, so we will commit. That'll be 3. I committed 4, so 1 will get rid of Roskabel. Can be healed again. And then he will engage me. I will block with Bomber. And if a character has more damage than each other character, deal 3 damage to that character. Alright, so this one takes 3 more, so he's at 9. Boy, this is a tough quest. It must be something I don't know. Can't attack him back, so here we go. He takes 2 more, he's at 11. Oh, I forgot to trigger that again. I'm just going to do it because I keep forgetting. So I'm supposed to deal him a damage. He's at 12, and I really can't. I can't do it. You got to remember. I think that's probably why I'm not doing so well. All right, add a threat, ready up, draw a card, add resources. We drew Dory again. Self-preservation seems good. So we'll add this self-preservation. We can exhaust that to heal 2. Attach to a character. Oh, let's put it over here. So we will heal 2 off of him every turn. So he'll be down to 9. Okay, so that's going to help. So now start of the quest phase, so we could deal a damage to him. He goes to 10, and then we can draw 3 cards, and we can add 1. Deal 1 damage to each exhausted character, or we can add this. After the players explore Foes Groves, 13 counter deck and discard pile 4. Hey, that's what we're looking for. So we'll put that out. Now we will quest. It's going to be 3. What are we going to do to defeat this enemy? So we add threat if we don't quest successfully, but I think that's our best spot right now. So we're not going to commit any to the quest. We're going to draw this card. So this will be guarded. Where does this go with guarded? Give me 1 second to check out guarded. Okay, I think guarded is I draw another card to guard it. Okay. I don't know if I draw for one. Should look that up quickly. All right, hang on 1 second. Sorry, everybody. Okay, so it'd just be the next card. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it easier on myself and have them both attached to that one, even though that's probably not what happens. So I'll have to work on that. It's just because I haven't played in a while. So this one's going to happen. The player with the highest threat level attaches this card to one of his heroes. Counts as a condition. Attached hero does not ready during the refresh phase unless you pay 2 resources from their pool. Well, that's fun. All right. So Bomber will take that. These will now be available. So then we can travel to this forest road. We don't have to worry about this. This one's now going to it. Oh, sorry. The threat would have been 1, 2, 3. So we were 3 less. So we would add 3 to our shadow because we did not reach the level. So we're at 30. He's now going to attack us for 2, which is that a hero? So we'll block it with him. 2 plus, if this attack is undefended, it is not. So we'll take 1 here. So he goes to 11. And then these 2 heroes will grab these, which secret, they're going to heal him for 5 when I complete that. So I know that I've got at least that much, although I don't know if I can get there. And then, oh, 2, where I could attack and kill him. So instead of getting one of these, both of these, man. All right, instead of getting both of these, I'm going to kill this guy so he's not messing with me anymore. That'll be a bigger deal. Sorry about that guarded keyword. I may be wrong on that, and that might be my bad, so we'll see. All right, he's going to take 2 more to go to 13. Yikes. And then at the start, we're going to heal him 2, so I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to increase to 31, so you can see this enemy gets more difficult. Bomber doesn't ready, and I draw a card. All right, so this one lets me look at the top card of the encounter deck, and then pay 1 resource to return it to my hand. Ah, I forgot that one too. I was supposed to look at the card and then there. Deal 2 damage to each exhausted character. Okay. So again, I don't want to commit to this quest, which is rough in terms of finding all those things, because I can't take 2 damage. So I'll commit no one. Draw this card, nothing happens. -1 gives me 32 here. And then I will exhaust him to take this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Oof. And this will increase to 13. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a different type of deck or something that can cancel more of those effects coming out. Those cards I had in the other one, Test of Will, would do really well. Unless I pay 2 resources. All right, so I can't ready him yet, but I can ready him next turn, and I'll use him to draw a card. All right, so he's going to take 2 damage. We're just going to keep that exhausted so he doesn't take that 2 damage every turn. And we reset 1 threat. Gain 2 resources. Draw a card. So we've got this Hammersmith. I know I have one that gets rid of a condition, but I just don't seem to be drawing it. Exhaust 2 heroes to draw 5 cards. I can't do that. I can spend these 2 to take the top attachment. I don't have any attachments. But I may just need somebody else out. So I'm going to put this dwarf out here, the Aragorn Hammersmith. Two progress won't help there. And we're not quite there, so there is that. All right, so let's just try to commit and hope this works for us. 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll draw. And it's going to be a location, Mountains of Mirkwood. If we travel, reveal the top card of the encounter deck and add to the staging area. Response after it leaves play. Each player may search the top 5 cards of their deck for 1 card and add it to their hand. It helps me to find more. It's a 2. So 1, 2, 3. I committed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, so that's 2 that go on here. And then nothing's going to attack me because I'm at 33. And I think that ends the round. So he's going to heal 2, take 2, so we at least got that evened out. If we can find one more of these, I've got to figure out how to get to this. Draw a card, increase my threat by 1, add resources, and I will ready by taking his 2 away. Eh, that one stays on there permanently, huh? Played that dwarf, I should have drawn a card. All right, so then I will pay these 2 resources to add 2 progress to a location. So I'll add them here. And this one says searching counter deck for an Athelis and add it to the staging area. So we're going to search here. Find one, add it to the staging area. So we have to give it a guard, which will be this card. So it's going to be in this location, the Necromancer's Pass. Oh, we could have traveled, huh? No, we shall not. All right, so there's 6 up there, man. Yeah, I had to have a card. Whew, I gotta get used to this game. I go too fast once I feel like I get used to it. All right, so that's what we're gonna play. We're gonna commit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the quest. There's 6 up there, and that's another 1. 7, so I take 2, I go to 36. Then I'm gonna travel to this Necromancer's Pass. Try to get rid of that one. This guy's going to engage me. Only eagle characters or characters with range can attack or defend against him. So he will attack for 1. I can't block. There's nothing, so I just take 1 damage, which has to go directly on one of my heroes. So we'll put on Bomber, and then we'll exhaust Bomber to take these Athelis. So my problem now is I just can't quest enough to overcome what's up here. Can't attack him back, so then that will even out there. We will add 1, 37. That's getting dangerously close. Add 2. Oh, he's exhausted. Draw a card. All right. Discard top 2 cards of your deck. Add an attachment to a dwarf. Hey, I got this one. Lets me reduce the cost to play by 1. So this still costs 2. Discard it to play any event in my discard pile and place it on bottom of my deck. Okay. There's that. So more questing. I've only got 2 resources. So I will do this 2 again. I can actually do it more than once, but I can put 2 there, and I can put 2 progress on this one if I want to, because you can put a progress on it if it tells you. So that will complete this one. Oh, I needed to discard 2 cards and leave that available. And I shall discard 2 cards. These 2 seem good. All right. Whew. All right, so what are we going to do now? So we're going to commit 2, 3 to the quest. Draw this. That's going to be 4. So I'm going to take 1, go to 38. This is going to engage me. I can travel here, but I have to add an encounter card. Deal 2 damage to each exhausted character. So dead. Got 4. He goes up to 15. Yikes. I don't need to search that anymore. Then both of these are going to attack me. This one is going to be if a character has more damage, needs to take 3 damage. So he goes to 18. And this one is if the attack is undefended, the damage must be placed on the eagle. So he takes 1. He goes to 19. And I already healed him, and he's going to die at the end of the round. So that'll be that. All right, so I got to work on that one still. That was tough. Really needed to be able to cancel some of those effects, not just heal. So, yeah, again, I think it's just figuring out how those work. Like, I didn't really take advantage of those dwarves, and boy, those cards were tough when it was like, if you're exhausted, take 2 damage. That's just tough to overcome. But so I showed you kind of how hard the game can get, and you really have to build the decks to defeat those encounters, which I think is a little different. I mean, Marvel, I still, you know, aim towards the villain, but it feels like a card that does 5 damage is still effective. Whereas, like in this, you know, these cards in this deck are just really tough. Everybody take 2 damages. Good luck. So you can't just quest. That other deck would have been the same way, and you're doing different things. But that gives you hopefully an idea of the game, what it looks like. So go ahead and comment down below. Give us a like and a subscribe if you can. If you like the content and the things we're seeing, I'm sure there's many videos you can watch on the Learn to Play of this game other than mine, but I thought maybe this would inject some new life for people in 2021 since the game is 11 years old. And it's really fun. And it probably works a little better multiplayer when you can use those sentinels and use those other things, and somebody can commit and somebody can do other things and whatnot, so it can work a little bit better. But there you go. Thanks, everybody. This is a Learn to Play for the Lord of the Rings, the card game, LCG. Thanks so much for watching. I'm the Brant from the Portal Home Studio, and until next time, I hope you step into the portal.